Okay, I call to order the February 16th, 2023 Park Board meeting. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bender,
Here.
Mr. Dahlstrom.
Here.
Mr. Katsula.
Here.
Ms. McDonald, Ms. Mahoney.
Here. I'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes.
Okay, so we have our first recognition of visitors. Anyone?
No visitors.
No visitors online, okay. And no one here? Any written correspondence?
I do not have any, no.
No? No? Wow, okay, consent agenda.
Thank you. We have 6 items for your consideration this evening. Approval of minutes, January 19th, 2023, regular session minutes. Treasurer's report, investments report, payment of bills in the amount of $823,371.91. Payout number 6 to FH Passion, SN Nielsen Associates LLC, McCollum Park Spray Ground and Tennis Improvements. And payout number 16, Hitchcock Design Incorporated, McCollum Park Spray Ground Design.
May I have a motion?
I'll move for the adoption of the consent agenda as read into the record.
I'll second.
Any discussion, questions? No? Hey, roll call, please.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Mr. Katsula,
Aye.
Mr. Dahlstrom,
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye, motion passed.
Our first action item this evening is consideration of proposal for recreation center roof resurfacing, and I'll turn that over to Paul.
Thanks, Bill. Good evening. This first item we have tonight is a capital project that's in our budget for this year. As you might remember, back in 2016, we actually did a coating on the roof at the Lincoln Center. And so it's a white color spray-on coating that's applied on top of the existing rubber roofing that's there. And so that product, the product is supplied by a company called American Weather Star. The installer, the local contractor who installs this is True Colors Industrial. And the product has a 12-year warranty. We've had 6 years now of, full 6 seasons now of warranty service on that application at the Lincoln Center, and we've been happy with the level of service that we've been provided. I think Kevin can tell you they come.
It's a year, once a year, and then they also, if there's any issues, which we've had, I think 2 since we've applied the coating, they come right out within a week.
And then last year, we also had them actually treat a small portion of the Lyman Woods Interpretive Center. The part that's over the multipurpose room is a flat roof with a rubber membrane similar to this roof. And so we had them do that. So, based on that, the previous experiences we had with this company, we requested a quote to treat the roof of this building, the rec center. And we have a quote for, it's approximately 47,000 square feet, the roof here. And so the quote we have is $200,600. We currently have $220,000 budgeted in the capital fund this year. We did also reach out to a couple of other companies to come and look at the roof with us, and had given us proposals for similar products, other spray-on liquid applied products that would do the same thing, which is basically to coat the existing roof to extend the life of the current roof, and creates like a watertight seal essentially over the existing rubber roof. There were different products that are available, different products that they make for this type of application. Those other couple of companies that we spoke to gave us quotes that ranged from $600,000 to $800,000 or more, depending on kind of the length of the warranty. But most of those were around a 10 to 15 year warranty for those products. So we believe, based on the positive experience that we've had with the American Weather Star product and True Colors at the Lincoln Center and at the Latin Woods. And also the 12-year warranty that's included with that for much lower cost than some of these other products. We're recommending that the board waive the competitive bidding and award a contract to True Colors Industrial to apply the coating here on this building. Wanted to just mention real quick that we do have two motions in the memo. The first is related to awarding the contract. And the second is that part of the proposal from True Colors is they request a deposit, a 10% deposit at the time of the award. So typically we put these on a consent agenda when we issue payments to contractors, but in this case, because we're just now awarding the contract, we didn't want to put it on the consent agenda until after it had been awarded tonight, so we're asking for a second motion that would authorize an initial payment to True Colors. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
None for me.
Okay, so two motions.
Two motions, correct.
So may I have the first motion to do the not adopt the competitive bidding?
Is that the order you require them in, Paul?
I think that would probably be best would be to award the contract first and then the
Okay, and when we're waiving the competitive bid process, are we also then awarding can I say we're awarding we're awarding the contract?
Correct.
yeah, the language that's here in the memo.
Yes, I don't.
Covers both. The first recommendation covers both those items, yes. And that's language that we had.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Page 2?
Yeah, I have a memo, so I was just gonna make it up.
The language that we put in the memo was reviewed by the attorney, so should be sufficient.
Do you mind reading?
I don't know how it.
Thanks.
I would move to approve waiving the competitive bid requirements as the purchase is not adapted to competitive bidding and therefore approve the contract with True Colors LLC for an amount not to exceed $200,600,000 for the Recreation Center roofing project.
Second. Any further discussion? A roll call, please.
Mr. Katrina,
Aye.
Mr. Bender.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Hi,
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye, motion passed.
Thank you.
Okay, now may I have a motion for the 10% deposit?
I move for the board to approve a payment to True Colors Industrial LLC in the amount of $20,000. $20,060. Say that again. I move for the board to approve a payment to True Colors Industrials LLC in the amount of $20,060.
I second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Mr. Dahlstrom,
Aye.
Mr. Katrina,
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye, motion passed. Thank you.
This will happen a little bit later in the summer after the new HVAC units are.
Oh,
After-
I remember that.
Our next action item this evening is consideration proposals for the Lincoln Center exterior renovations, specifically the old fire escapes. And I can turn that back over to Paul again.
Bill, this is another item we discussed previously in our capital budget, capital planning. We currently have $90,000 in the budget for this Lincoln Center exterior renovation project, which includes removing the exterior metal stairs. We have a proposal we requested a proposal from FH Passion, a job order contract proposal, similar to what we've done recently with projects at the golf course. One project we had here at the rec center that did some exterior work here at the rec center, and they're currently our contractor at McCollum Park. We had a proposal from them a year ago. We based our budget around what we had from a year ago, added a little bit to it when we got to budget season, but unfortunately that number has gone up a little bit. Apparently we're putting in a couple of new windows on each side of the building as part of the project, and it sounds like window costs have continued to go up with the aluminum. Cost of aluminum has been increasing. So we have a proposal from FH Passion for $94,931.02. However, so it's about $5,000 over budget, what we had budgeted. But fortunately, as we just talked about the rec center roofing project, we were about $20,000 under on what we had budgeted for that. And these two items are in the same account, these capital account. So we're recommending the board authorize the executive director to enter into a contract with FH Passion for this project for the total contract of $94,931.02. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Nope, I recall. It's all
When are
good.
they going to do this?
We're looking at, we'll need to coordinate with the contractor. Obviously, we need to order the windows right away because there's still long lead times for those. But speaking with staff at the Lincoln Center, we're actually targeting probably late August because it'll impact the auditorium specifically. And so late August, early September, there is kind of a window. There's not much programming happening in that space. That's our goal.
Are they gonna order the window and cover the expense, or are we gonna, they're gonna order the window on our behalf and we pay for the window?
This company would likely order the window and on our behalf.
Got it. Okay. So no deposit required to cover the expense of the window.
They've not asked for one, and you know, a company this size, they can cover the cost of that. They typically wouldn't. And nothing at McCollum. They've not asked us to pay for things up front at McCollum. So fine.
Great. Did they give you a lead time?
Not yet, but we should have it certainly by August.
I've been hearing 8 months. That's what
If
they.
we get it ordered right away, this is why we're awarding the contract now,
Yeah.
is to get those ordered right away.
We're lucky it'll be done by November 1st.
All right, well, can I have an early motion?
Sure. I move to authorize the executive director to enter into a contract with FH Passion for the Lincoln Center exterior renovation for a total contract value of $94,931.02.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Dahlstrom,
Aye.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Mr. Katsula,
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye, motion passed.
Thank you. Our last action item this evening is we're seeking authorization to bid for replacing our strength equipment within the fitness center. I'll turn that over to Dave.
Thank you. Similar to everything else, we're concerned that if we wait, longer we wait, the chances it may not come in at the end of the summer. A lot of the equipment that is up there currently, some of it's original to the construction of the building. So this is the last piece in our replacement puzzle where we did the cardio machines and got those on the leases. So now the next step is, now the flooring's done, is to replace the strength equipment. And I just want to note, strength equipment includes barbells, dumbbells, the racks, the machines, the whole work. So it's kind of, strength equipment is kind of a catch-all phrase. So again, we're seeking permission to go to bid just to speed up the process.
What do you do with the old stuff?
You usually get a trade-in value.
Do you get a trade-in?
Yeah. And if not, there's depending on the quality of the equipment, there are organizations out there that you can donate to.
Okay,
A lot of times the company will take and they'll refurbish it. And
and then we sell, yeah.
Maybe sell, so.
Our benches are all missing the wheels stuff.
Yeah, I mean, none of our benches have those wheels. They take them off the slide to make them easier, so.
No, I was just wondering what happens to all
Yeah.
that. Okay.
And
Okay,
what kind of replies do you expect to get in terms of number of vendors that might bid on?
Well, that's the thing is, depending on what type of equipment is selected, there's usually only certain vendors that can be the distributor for that equipment. So it might be that Life Fitness is the vendor for certain machines where there's more people that sell dumbbells and weight plates and things like that. But the machines that you're kind of limited by who has the contract, you know, who the distributor is in the area, so. So we probably end up, I would imagine, we'll probably have 3 or 4 vendors for the total project.
Is one of the purchasing consortiums not cover this kind of equipment?
The what?
One of the purchasing consortium?
No.
I think that would fit neatly into what they do.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move to grant authorization to bid the replacement of the district's drains equipment for the rec center.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Katsula,
Aye.
Mr. Dahlstrom,
Aye.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye, motion passed. Okay. President's comments, here we are again. I have no comments. You all are doing a great job. Keep it up. And get rid of the snow. Any commissioner comments?
None for me.
Okay. Bill,
Thank you. I've got a couple of things I want to bring to the board's attention tonight. The first one is actually in your board pack. Have to put together fairly lengthy memo regarding voting at the Lincoln Center. Just kind of doing a quick recap. Traditionally, the early voting site has been at the Village Hall. But because of the construction of the new Village Hall, I was over there the other day. They have a few parking spots, but they do not have enough parking spots, and certainly not for voting. So the election commission reached out to us back in July about the Lincoln Center being a early voting location. At that time, we had some concerns. One is just space availability. We're traditionally pretty booked up. And their requirements is for the entire duration, they need to have the room exclusive to them. So we can't even put stuff in there at night because they need to secure the machines. And we really want to try, in voting is the bedrock of what we do. So we wanted to be able to accommodate that, but we were concerned about the room. We're also concerned that that's our preschool location. So from a safety standpoint, a lot of times schools will call off the day or have teacher institute when they have voting on election day, which we do, and we have traditionally done that. We've been a single day site. We're also concerned about parking because the church also uses our parking lot for their school because they're under construction with their parking lot. So we expressed that to them in July. Actually came up with a fairly lengthy list of alternatives we thought might work. Offered to, I actually personally offered to make phone calls and make connections if we could, trying to facilitate that. We thought we were able to do the fall, which we were able to do. But knowing the spring and everything going on, we could just tell that was going to be difficult. Then the elevator going down in this building has made situations worse because we've actually moved programming over there. In that July meeting, I had to take a call, so I stepped out for a few minutes. After the meeting, David and Michelle did say to me that they made mention to them that legally we have no choice, and if we say no, they'll just get their attorney and force us to do it. So here we are. I get a letter from their attorney after Michelle has spent hours trying to make this work. I have to emphasize how hard we've worked to try to make this happen. I had Dirk respond because I do not know the law. And at first, Dirk is like, no, we're just going to tell him no because you have very legitimate reasons. He called me back, was not happy. I guess they had a location at a funeral home. And then another funeral home had a fire. So they were afraid there was going to be too many funerals. So they just moved back without telling us before they sent the letter back to the Lincoln Center. We're kind of stuck because they were advertising that location the next day in the paper. So we will accommodate it. We have, and Dirk's advice was make sure that everyone know that, we are very accommodating, yet we recognize the concerns, particularly with preschool, and parking and all the limitations that that's had, that we did not think that our site was a good site for this. So we will be putting out information, social media, all of our participants, let our preschool know. We do have on those wings, those doors are locked, so there is some security there. But I just wanted to make the board aware that I think we worked really hard to accommodate this. And B, we have some real concerns, and we want to express, particularly with kind of how we felt we were treated, and not really listen to with our valid concerns, and then just being forced into it at the end. So that's the quick overview. I think that the detail of the memo goes into a lot more of that. You can see just from the memo how many times we have met. I think Shell shortchanged herself on the amount of hours she has spent with calendars trying to make it work. But here we are. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but I just wanted the board to know what occurred there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Please pass on our thanks to Michelle as well. I read that. My only question is around security. Are we required to have any additional security at the building?
We are not.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are not.
Yeah.
While we're an open building, traditionally, people are only coming there for programs for purposes. So
Right.
that's the real change to it. Our staff is just gonna have to be more diligent and watching the building. One of the concerns that we expressed to them was that is nearly an impossible building to secure. And the reason for is it's a very old building with closed off staircases in multiple locations that you can literally get into. And there's, I want to say where all the hiding places are, but there's a lot of hiding places. So we're just going to have to watch it. If it was this building, I don't think I'd be quite as concerned. It's just what's in there and the type of the building. And given, the state of the world right now and all the things we heard, we're very vigilant with that. So we do training, we do, watch that, but unfortunately, we're not in a position where we can cancel preschool for 2 weeks. And by law, can't bar them from coming in.
Yeah.
We'll have our staff there until all the election
We
judges.
will, that's one of the other issues, is we are not open in that building on Saturday, just based on the type of programming that's in there. So we will be sending them a bill for our additional staffing costs.
Do you think the village police would have an issue just patrolling the building? Have we considered asking them? I mean, given the proximity where the police station was.
Yeah, I've already made mention, I was in a meeting that the police chief and the village administrator were there, and I mentioned what was going on, thanked them for building a new building, so we're dealing with this.
Yeah.
And expressed our concerns, and they said they would keep an eye.
Okay.
So, but again, they're not gonna.
Yeah. Not gonna station a patrol over there. Might have to just remind them of that prior to the day.
I will absolutely do that, because it will sneak up and they won't realize
Yeah.
it. So.
Yes. Okay, thanks, Bill.
Sure.
And do we set the 100 feet marker for the no electioneering or
Yeah,
election
that's
judges?
a good question.
Yeah, so
We're gonna get a bunch of yard
we
signs.
experienced it the last time.
Yeah.
Evidently the law changed somewhere that I missed, because at one point political signs weren't allowed on public property. They could be on the parkway. So the signs all showed up. Evan will tell you that the forest of signs that showed up. And found out that has changed, and it's 100 feet from the polling place,
Not the door.
not the door of the building. So if you drew a line from the room inside the building 100 feet, we now have a forest of signs like right at the entrance. So we will have that again.
Yeah, right up front, and I think they had it measured out exactly because they're like, they have to all go back there.
But the county clerk's office does that, marks that off for us.
Yes. I think that.
No, the election commission.
Yeah.
Yeah, the judge and all the clerks.
So yeah, we got rid of the election commission, we're county clerks now, but I just worry about
Their business cards still sit.
Oh.
Yes.
and they just haven't reprinted them
They
and
have not reprinted them. I have them on my desk. So, and I pass them on to Dirk.
I just worry about the landscaping up front, people trampling
Yeah,
anything.
and again, we can accommodate, I mean, we want to accommodate it. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's important, but it's just a really bad spot.
What date is the letter going out?
Michelle's prepared to send the letter out to the preschool parents tomorrow,
Okay,
and we'll do more electronic communication early.
It's all ready to go. I wanted to inform the board before
okay.
we pushed it out. So, moving on to better things. A question for the board, just on a timing issue, knowing that we have election coming up this spring and there's potentially some changes on the board. I'm in a place where I'm 99% sure. I have two firms, one for the master plan and one for a pretty comprehensive feasibility study for the athletic component at Gilbix Park to bring to the board and have the review and then start moving on that process. I could probably be able to do that next month, but I didn't know if the board would want me to wait until the spring, just to wait for the election. I'm good either way, but I thought I would ask the board what your pleasure was, just knowing that timing.
Kathy, would you like to take this?
Well, I won't be here next month for the meeting, for one.
Personally, I'd like a jump start on it.
I think based on previous experience, the sooner you can start seeing things, the better.
Yeah.
Because you need time to process. There's a lot to think about. That would be my comment.
I defer to my more experienced colleague.
Well, I didn't want to just bring it in and have you go, well, why didn't you wait? So I thought I would ask
No,
what you want.
There'll be ample, I mean, it'll be a couple months. It's not gonna be like 6 months, so I don't think it'll
Right.
be a big
Right.
learning curve to get up to speed.
Okay,
I don't think.
all right.
Thanks, Bill.
Very good. Speaking of Gilbix Park, Kathy and I met with Bob last Friday and talked about the renaming ceremony. And what we're looking at is May 20th is already scheduled as the celebration officially changing the golf course to Belmont. So we're looking at the renaming ceremony to be the following day on May 21st. And the rationale for dates being together is what we would do is we would have the actual dedication on site at what is now Walnut Park to be Gilbix Park, unveiling of the sign, the ceremony, and then we would all go back to the court for a small reception. And since we're already going to be set up the day before, we thought we would package those two together so we don't have to set up stuff twice.
Great. It's a good idea.
So May 21st,
Yes,
we would do it on a Sunday?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, since Saturday was already set. Bob was fine with it. He was, the primary concern. He is going to get a list for us to invite and then our typical list within the community. And former commissioners have already expressed that, Kathy, so. So we'll be putting that together for him.
Love it.
And then lastly, I'm going to steal a little bit of Kevin's thunder here. But his staff has been successful in locating 2 trucks. So we have purchased them literally in the last 3 days. And if the board recalls, when we did the budget, you'd give me authority to just go ahead and get those when we can get them. So that's what we're doing. Interestingly, I had a conversation with Dave Fieldman at the Village, and they're doing exactly the same thing. They have somebody driving around looking for trucks.
Was it a bidding war?
It's, well,
The first one, yes, it was, apparently there was another district that was just getting ready to come down to look at it. I guess I purchased it. I said, we need to, the price was fair, everything was good. I said, we gotta purchase it, so.
like, you got a P card, put a deposit down. Don't let them. Don't let them take it. So Kevin will put together a BI for you.
Okay.
With all the specs at the next board meeting. We just want to let you know that we made some movement on that. And the other one today was from Willowbrook. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Good. Okay. It's like a full-time job sourcing those vehicles.
It is,
It
that's
is.
what Mike said. He's like, I've never spent so much time on vehicles.
We're all doing it. It's just, one's a 22 and one's a 23.
Nice. Good deal.
And that's all I have. Be happy to answer any questions.
Not bad. No.
Okay. On to recreation, Dave.
Just a couple quick items to highlight. So for the last couple of years, our youth basketball league, every year we've said, oh, I guess we're at our ceiling. And we continue to grow. So this year we have 1,465 kids. So we were in, and last year we had 1,377. So we're up about 88. But for the last 3 or 4 years, it just continues to grow. Eventually, we're going to run out of space. It's a good thing to have, but we have to use Saturday and Sunday. We use the Lincoln Center a little bit for the little kids, so they're getting creative. But I just more we keep getting increases, which is a great thing. Also, to help us develop our timeline for pickleball, there was a survey that was done. A lot of good input from interested participants, and we're developing a timeline on how we're going to roll this out. Bill and I talked about, the hard part is with McCollum as far as outside. Again, we don't really know when that's going to start. So really this timeline will be more for 24 from a comprehensive tournaments and lessons and more for 24, but certainly we'll do things in 23. It's just hard to plan when you don't know when we're going to get on the courts. But we did get a lot of good feedback. Also, our financial assistance program has been revamped. We've done a lot more publicizing of that program, and to the year to date, there's already been 4 families that have been approved, which I think is 12 or 13 individuals. That is probably more than I've approved in 2 or 3 years combined. So word is getting out and people are taking more advantage of it, which is what we wanted to do. And then the last thing is all of the directors, superintendents, and the safety committee members are all completing the FEMA ICS 100 certificate. And what that is it's an introduction to an incident command system. So if there is a disaster or an emergency, we do have a crisis plan in place. This kind of takes it to the next step, and it really focuses on also how you work with the other agencies involved, because it may not just be us, it may be the village, it may be the township, maybe all of us, fire departments. So we're asking each of these those levels of staff to complete this, get that certificate. And I read Kevin's gone through, I know I've gone through it. It was very informational. And I say it takes our crisis plan and kind of goes to the next level. So I would be happy to answer any other questions.
Not really a question. During the IAPD conference, I went to a presentation by Northbrook on their pickleball operations. And they're getting about $200,000 a year just from pickleball lessons and tournaments is what the revenue they're bringing in. So that's pretty impactful. And they don't have nearly as many courts as we're putting in. So it'll be exciting what we can do in terms of tournaments and lessons when we have those courts out there.
Yeah, the lessons, Dave and Michelle have been working on that. I've had multiple conversations with DuPage Visitors Bureau, and then the various, because there's multiple pickleball associations that have national coverage, and talking about bringing larger outdoor tournaments to McCollum.
Yeah, because I think they said they were capped at like 24 teams with their tournaments just because of the court space, and we have.
Yeah, we're looking at like 300-400.
You do a lot more than that, right? inside, but I just,
Seriously, those are the numbers we've been talking is attracting 300 to 400 players.
yeah, and I didn't have the revenue numbers in my head, so if they can do that out of, 200,000 out of that. Yeah, pretty good thing to add to our farm.
Found a company that will provide instruction for us for lessons and things like that. And then ironically, like 3 days after that company got another email from an individual reaching out that would like to teach. So that was kind of the hard part at first, was finding those individuals, but now we've got them. We've got good resources going forward as well.
Yeah, and one of the things that, that they picked up on is really having that easy or beginner, intermediate, advanced lessons and really separating those out. Sometimes they had set aside mixed tournaments and immediate players, advanced players are playing in beginner tournaments. And it was no fun for anybody.
Right.
That was one of the obstacles they went through. So it was a good learning experience.
One of the things we need to look at is making sure we have lessons that are not just during the day, but at nights and weekends too, because everybody's working, can't come in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're making sure we build that in, whether it's indoor or outdoor, a combination of both, that we try to hit as many people as possible. So.
Yeah. Forward to it.
Did you guys peruse the survey responses at all?
Yeah,
Did we learn anything?
not really. It kind of validated what we thought. They want more, one of the things is they want more time in the gym.
Yep.
So we are going to go to 5 days a week, for during open gym time. A lot of the feedback was they're just excited to see McCollum be completed and then have the extra space out there. That's the biggest thing. We did hear, as Brett mentioned about, you have to have the appropriate level.
Yeah.
You don't want the beginners playing with the advanced because it's not fun for either side. So nothing really that we, didn't expect, but it kind of reinforced what we were thinking was the route to go.
Maybe my last question, and back to an unfun topic, regarding the crisis management plan, can you remind me that in the event of an emergency or a crisis that all staff members are texted? Do we have a text communication policy?
We don't have a setup yet for all staff, but it would go for, if it's recreation, that would be up to me to get it out to staff, and then it funnels down.
Okay, yeah, I remember I know the hierarchy in the waterfall.
Right.
But it doesn't, it only triggers staff within a department. Or, right?
It's not automated.
Okay.
So we don't have that broadcasting ability.
Okay.
Chris just got smoke coming out of here.
So it's
about that now.
So it's manual, right? It's up to each of the respective heads.
Correct.
To send it to the distribution team.
That is correct.
Okay. Is that something we are interested in solving for?
We're investigating a couple of things. One of the things we're investigating is Informacast.
Is what?
Informacast.
Okay.
That integrates with our Cisco phone system, and that will send out mass notifications. If we can, it can be integrated to send out to public, whoever's in rec track. So
That's where I was gonna go next. Okay.
So yes, but we're not there.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I like the fact that we have an eye on it and it's an objective of ours.
So the basic Informacast system that we have right now with the phone system is just a page throughout the phone systems. So if somebody's on a phone, they won't hear the page, but if the phone is hung up, they'll hear the page through the speakerphone of their phone. But no text messages.
Okay. Do we see any other districts? Do we have data to support other districts have leveraged this type of text communication technology?
I have not, no.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Chris would know more than, because Chris meets with the other district IT. The ones that have them, a lot of districts don't have IT.
Yeah.
Professionals on staff, they outsource that, so. But he meets with them on a regular basis.
Right.
It's sad and crazy to say, but public spaces are just not safe anymore, right? And that's how we have to go through life, as sad as it may be.
I'm just making this up.
Yeah.
Based on my knowledge of just your reports at staff meetings, but I'll bet you half of his time is spent on security one way or the other, from cameras to servers to doors to whatever.
Yeah.
It's all security.
We have another IT meeting with all the park districts in about a month and a half. And I will add that to one of the agendas to see if Debbie, Chase and Bolingbrook can bring in some vendors.
That'd be great. Thanks, Chris. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. I think it's extremely important.
I agree.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Dave?
Welcome back, Dave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Dawn, marketing.
Right. I'm gonna start out with a little brag. I think all of the board and staff are aware that our district won the IPRA Agency Showcase Overall Marketing Award at the state conference in January. I just wanted to take the opportunity to give a huge shout out to Danielle Strohmeyer. She decided not to join us this evening so that I could embarrass her, but a lot of this is her work. So in addition to getting the overall, we received first place for our annual accomplishments document. And then we also took second place in 3 other categories. So I was pretty proud of us. There were 50 agencies that participated throughout the state. 13 did the overall, and then there were about 300 individual submissions. So it's really exciting that we won what we did. So just wanted to throw that out there. As far as our marketing projects go, we've been super busy getting ready for golf, obviously, to get going. We also launched our 4,500 Fitness Facebook page and Instagram page. So that's something we've been wanting to do for a while. But just juggling all of the projects, we just hadn't made that happen yet. So that's in full steam. We're getting ready to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the rec center next month. So you guys will be seeing some member appreciation items coming out for that in the next few weeks.
Dawn, it's crazy.
Yes, I know.
I'm just sticking that in. Go ahead, sorry.
I was like, are we sure 20?
Are you sure? I'm not really that old.
With the Belmont Golf Club opening, we're wrapping up the website, so that should be launching next week. And then we're going to have all of our redesigned materials coming out and ready for the opening of the course. We just put the finishing touches on the summer recreation guide, so that'll be delivered to residents starting February 22nd, and then registration will open March 13th. So that'll be for summer camp and all of our summer programs. So yeah, summer is coming, which is exciting. Events and sponsorship is moving right along. We're already at 91% of our general advertising goal for the year. So that's a great place for us to be. And we're at about 50% of our sponsorship goal. The big one being Eric Hamilton team is coming back as our presenting sponsor for the concert series. And then also in your packet, I included the lineup for the concert series. We had a few little adjustments that we needed to make a few weeks ago, but we're officially finalized. So that was shared with the community with a little soft launch last week, but we'll be doing obviously more promotion of that in the next couple of weeks here. And then lastly, we're planning our Earth Day cleanup for April 22nd. I talked to Mike Stelter today. We're going to add a 3rd location. So right now we will be doing cleanup events at Fishel, Dunham Place, and Lyman, and we have about 50 volunteers that'll be participating. So just kind of doing something a little new, but still getting our Arbor Day stuff in there that week as well. So that is all that I have for this evening. Does anyone have any questions?
Congratulations on all your awards.
Not surprised Danielle's not here.
She likes to keep low key. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Planning, Paul.
Hello again. Can't believe I have to follow the award ceremony over here. So stack of them over here. I just have a quick update on McCollum. A little bit of cold weather since the last board meeting. So there was a week or so that were mostly shut down because it was so cold, but they are still making progress. The exciting part is that the roof over the new addition is nearly done. Early January, they finished installing the block walls, essentially the outside walls of the addition. And then since then, they've had the roof trusses brought to the site, installed those, and then just in the last few days, earlier this week, they were installing the sheeting and started with the actual roofing. They don't have the shingles on it yet. They've got the tar paper down and should be re-shingling the entire roof probably in the next few days. So that's great news because then they can close up the building and get some work done on the inside of the building. But they're also looking to keep working outside as well with the way the forecast looks, at least for the next week or so. They're hoping to set the light poles. So for the tennis courts, the tennis and pickleball courts, we have the tall light poles that the concrete foundations are in the ground. It's just ready. Now they have to have a crane out there to set the poles onto the foundations. Hoping to do that here in the next week or so, and also possibly start installing some of the piping, the splash pad, that they can bring the piping out from the building and start running that as well. So hoping for the weather to cooperate after today, at least warmer again, and allow us to keep rolling. And that's all I have for tonight. Happy to answer any questions.
No questions. I drive by and I pull in the parking lot. I try to sneak up as much as possible, but it's very limited viewing. Obviously, I haven't paid the price of admission.
Tour inside if you want, but it's really muddy.
Yes, I know. I was thinking about all of the shoes that you guys were
I
wearing.
have a pair just sitting in my trunk.
This is the time of year where it doesn't really dry out now for the next couple months. It'll be messy out there.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay. Kevin,
All right.
parks.
So even though we have snow tonight, winter activities have been very light this year. I think we've look like 6 days of skating at Whitlock, 5 days at McCollum. Sled Hills, we've only gotten like 16 days of open sled hills, which is, unfortunate for this time of year anyhow. So that allowed park staff to get out and do a lot more out in the parks. We've been doing one of the larger projects. We rebuilt the bridge over at Lyman Woods. We're refurbishing a bunch of signs, replacing a lot of metal signs out there. Paul actually is just I think 6 large park ID signs are done, so you'll start seeing those going up here in the next month or so. And then we're also having some of the small park ID signs built as well. So we're going to start replacing some of those. You'll see they're small gray frame with green background with our logo on them. We have 12 that we're having built, so we're going to start replacing those that sort of coordinate with our current park ID signs. In the facilities, we've been very busy. This time of year is nonstop for our facilities staff, our custodians. And then obviously, before you know it, we'll start opening park restrooms and all that. That'll start about mid-March. And then the golf course. So we'll start getting that going here pretty soon, getting that cleaned up, ready to go. Sounds like Ken wants to open pretty soon. So
We talked about mid-March.
yeah. Be here before you know it, pushing toward the end of February.
I mean, we got rounds to break. We got records to break, right? Revenue, rounds, range balls.
Range balls.
I mean,
Bob, you gotta play more. You wanna, so you brought up the golf course, parks construction project, marketing project that's really cool that we're doing at the golf course is when you come into the golf course and then you go to the pro shop headed to the bathrooms, there's those bulletin boards on the left. So Kevin and Paul and Dawn and then Felicia from the museum met. And we're actually going to be taking that wall and recessing kind of like trophy cases. Every high school in the world has them recessed in the wall, something similar to that. And we are going to be displaying prior to the renaming historical golf from the history of the golf course. And we found in our museum collection from about 1904 golf bag and golf clubs that we're pretty sure match back to a picture that we have from that same year. We'll never be able to tell for sure, but pretty darn close. We also found either, was it a shirt or pants?
Pants.
Pants. Along with some other stuff. And the Tweedy family has a bunch of stuff that they are going to, some stuff loan to us and some stuff donate to us.
Have they finally been in communication? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes. Yeah, so they've been
Like waiting forever.
So it's kind of cool. I love the whole idea. So we wanted to make sure it was secure and behind, so that's why it'll all be behind black glass. We are going to put on the stuff that comes from the museum, on loan from the museum, so we can some advertising on that. But that's just another thing that we're doing out there for really tying into the whole historical of the golf course. So kind of a cool construction project coming up. And thank you guys. Kind of pivoted on that pretty quickly. So
That's great.
yeah,
Good idea.
don't send Ken and I to the golf outing together because we come up with this stuff. He also did find, speaking of that, back tying, I guess, originally the pins and the flags were not cloth because you had nylon or anything. And so they would just deteriorate. So they were actually made out of wood. And Ken and his staff out there actually found a vendor that makes the wood flag signs. So it'll have the new logo on it, the whole, and it'll be our blue or our brown and gold color scheme. I think you've seen them, Don, haven't you? So that's also really cool. So when you're actually out there playing, the flags will be historical as well. So. Sorry for taking your.
Oh, that's okay.
What's that?
I'll take any questions.
You don't have a call report, so I'm gotta talk about that.
Well, I'll piggyback on that too. I did kind of do an unauthorized entry into the clubhouse. And
You're the one that pulled the door handle
I
off?
was not that one. No alarms sounded. No. But what was really nice is the history wall that's been done. That
It looks
first I
very-
seen it and it's really well done.
That was Danielle.
Okay,
It looks very nice.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
One of our.
Color scheme that
staff
it
walked in,
does
he
that-
walked in and he's like, I love how it's just all around you.
It is very nice.
Yeah, it's coming. Merchandise is coming in, so once our rentals are done, Ken will start putting the displays of all the merchandise together.
So Kevin, I have one question
Yes.
for the, are they still Ganders dispanders? Or do you have a new system?
No, so that we do have the gander dispanders. However, with the ice, we don't put them in with the ice because they're
Right.
float. So that's why we ended up putting, and Mike's been switching them out here and there.
The dog
Yeah, the coyote.
coyotes, yeah.
So yeah, once all the ice comes off, we'll go ahead and throw ganders back in. Hopefully, I mean, probably within the next month, I'm thinking. So, yeah, they'll go back out pretty quick. I know there's lots and lots of geese
There are lots of geese.
down on place. I was there a couple of times, past couple of weeks, there has to be 500 geese down there. At down in place,
Remember to determine.
hanging around. for this weather.
Makes it for a messy neighborhood.
It does.
Okay. So, who's got finance?
So Eric is on vacation,
Mhm.
so have questions of me. Do my best. But I do want to point out one thing though, before Eric went on vacation. He had some communication with Eric Anderson of Bond Council. We do have some bonds that appears from a timing standpoint, would be available to refinance. Even though rates have gone up, bond rates have gone down. So Eric and I are having since I'm gonna be on vacation, we're gonna do it by Zoom. So I'm gonna do a Zoom meeting next Tuesday with Eric, the two Erics. Talk about that so that we can kind of stay on a timing where if it does seem feasible, we could bring that sometime to you in March. We would have Eric do a presentation, probably just have him do it on Zoom as well. So we are talking about doing some of those refinancings. We just want to make sure again that there's enough spread there that it makes sense for us to do that. So I can answer finance questions, and Chris is here on the IT side.
Any questions? Okay, C-SPAR,
No report.
any unfinished business?
I do not have any.
Anyone else have any unfinished business?
For me.
Any new business?
I have no new business.
No new business. Okay, this is our second opportunity for visitors.
There's no online visitors.
No online visitors?
Hi.
Hi, my name is Dan Baker. I know some of you guys know me. Some of the boards. Kathy, you've been around a while, you probably from the past. I know you guys can know. So, well, first start out with some statistics. An average memberships last 4.9 years. The older generation last 7.3 years. Younger members age 18 to 24 give up their memberships 2.7 years. Most memberships, the reason why they terminate them or cancel them is because they don't use the gym. The gym has been open, I believe, going on 20 years. And I believe I was probably the longest continuous membership until recently. And originally I was going to plan on coming in front of the board to talk about 2 weeks closure. And so you guys closed down the building for 2 weeks. I assumed they would go ahead and just extend them membership for 2 weeks. I found out I believe in September that was not the case. I was talking to Corey, he says that it was well addressed and everything. And so I was like, well, let me talk to Bill and Dave, I'll give them a call. He goes, well, you probably should go through Tony first. Like, okay, have Tony call me. She's on vacation next week. Okay, once she gets back, no rush. Phone call number took place. And as for the ones who knows me, I'm very talkative. Talk to anyone and everyone who will listen to me. So pretty much everyone knew what my intent was going to do. It's like, this should not be the case. We were denied 2 weeks of service. Why should we pay for 2 weeks of service? Okay. And it's not common for setting aside COVID era. It's not common for fitness centers to close down. I've talked to friends and family and coworkers. I've had one example. That was a fitness place down in the city. They closed down for about 2 weeks because of some roof issue. They basically suspended, everyone's membership for 2 weeks, so they got fully compensated. So everyone knew, it's like, okay, I'm an annual membership. I'm just not going to renew for 2 weeks. Until someone can address this issue. That's what my intent was. When Felicia was here, I got a notification. I talked to her. I go, look, I'm not going to renew for 2 weeks. She's like, it's out of my hands. I don't have the authority. It's like, that's fine. Deal with it when it comes. So my membership expired in a Tuesday. I spoke to the manager in duty. He was aware of what's going on. It's like, look, do your job. Whatever you're supposed to do, handle it like you have. Now, again, I've been here 20 years. Just short of 20 years. I've never, ever been told I couldn't work out. There's days in the past, or time in the past where registration was closed, I come in, couldn't renew. They would still let you work out. Never had a problem. That seems to be the common practice in the gym world. Okay, and no one knew what was going to take place. So Tuesday comes, scan in. No, says I expired. Manager and dude is like, your membership is expired. You want to renew tonight? I said, no, I will in 2 weeks. Okay, go and work out. Next day, I come in, scan. The person, the staff members like, have a good workout, common, face that they do. Thursday comes, I get a voicemail from Tony, asking me to call her. I call her, she calls me back, she goes, you've been told you couldn't work out. Again, never in my 20 years have I been told that. You refuse to listen to them, you come in tonight, you will have you arrested. Okay, followed up by an email, and I will go and pass out the chain of emails. I think Kathy, I think you were in a lot of them. Had a conversation with Bill Thursday, First of all, from what I can tell, and as for the freedom of information, there was very little discussion. The only thing I found in the minutes, which was provided, was back in August, Bill made a comment that, of course, we'll have to compensate the employees. Now, according to Dave, that was regarding another week's if you had to close for a week. What's the difference if it's been 2 weeks or another week coming up? You would expect to be compensation. And definitely not any transparency with the company. Talking to members, not one single member knew they weren't being compensated. Okay, so there's definitely lack of transparency. Okay, I went ahead without renewing membership. My wife and I, we took that opportunity to check out competition. We will not be back. 20 years. Okay. I'm not on social media, Facebook or something, none of that besides next door. Okay. Not on that thing. And I had someone post the situation on Reddit. Okay. And basically it didn't last long because I guess that area is not for businesses, but more for individuals.
Mhm.
And the general consensus, I should have never been threatened. Okay, Dave tried to calm it down, saying that was never our intent. No, it was very clear what the intent was. Okay, so I'm here in front of the board, to make you guys aware of it. Okay, I still, as I made clear in the email, that an apology should have been in order. I mean, we all have bad days, I get it. But to make that type of threat in this type of environment this is supposed to be a neighborhood, a community. And that's how we treat the community. Okay. Again, may not be the longest, you guys can check that out. But definitely one of the longest members here, continuous members. To be threatened, jail time. Not only once, but followed up with an email. Okay, I think Bill Dave might have noticed because your tone from when we spoke to your email seemed to have changed a little bit. I think you might have came across some information like I was never told I couldn't work out. Okay, I'm not sure if if you have those facts. But so I'm still looking for, as far as I'm concerned, I need to be compensated. Okay, and by the way, the money we're talking, what my wife and I for those 2 weeks, we're talking $20. So it's not a principle of dollars. My membership now is way more expensive than what I was paying now versus before. It's the principle. Why do you charge for service that is not provided? Comcast doesn't do that. They will, but if you call them up, they will compensate you. You don't have service for a day, you get compensation. Okay. Why no phone call back from Tony? One of the things she said, again, being a member for 20 years, I asked for a copy of the contract. That's always important. I've yet to get a copy of the contract. She gave me a blank one. I spoke to her about getting the original one. Still have not received it. So, you know, I would have never left if it wasn't for the threat. Okay, I am now gone. I am now glad I'm gone. And a lot of my complaints that you guys have heard over the last several years. It's amazing. The people that have left this place. It's common elements. It's lack of cleaning. When I went to Dave and to tell him about that Monday, I point out to the manager on duty about the track being filthy. Okay. First response, oh, it gets cleaned all the time. And Kevin, you can probably go back. This was right up just right around Thanksgiving. I believe Larry who cleans the track was out. It wasn't cleaned. I know it because the same dust bunnies with the same yarn was in there for 2 Saturdays in a row. Okay, but one of the biggest complaints is how dirty the place is. Yes, it gets cleaned, but as an example, brand new floor. And I came in and a Friday, you could tell something spilled. Not sure what it was. Someone cleaned it up, but it was still a residue. I mentioned it the next day to Corey on Saturday. Oh, cleaning will get to it. Not sure about any follow-up, but we talked about accountability and follow-up. It was there the following Saturday. They spoke to one of the cleaning people who happens to work out, Mike, pointed out to him, he's like, I would take care of it. Sure enough, he took care of it, still with the residue, but it's a brand new floor and it was there for over a week and it was not cleaned up. Kevin, if you were still in the center, I'm sure it would have been cleaned up because you would have noticed it. You don't have that. I know there's a huge difference after you left.
Excuse me, are you done addressing the board?
I'm sorry.
Yes, I know. Are you done with your comments to the board?
What I'm looking for, of course, is still to address the 2 weeks. Okay. I think both the board should hold people, the staff more accountable, but the place needs to be cleaned and maintained. Those are the reasons why people, the other item is the hours. They shorten the hours during, because of COVID, it has to come back. And people are leaving because of that. Yes, it's a family place. We don't have to be open 24 hours. But if you work downtown, they kind of get home, maybe take care of the kids or, doing their homework or maybe with sports and stuff. If it's 8 o'clock rolls around, 8:30 rolls around, you're not coming in to work out because it closed at 9. That's one of the biggest advantages I did not notice until I switched. I'm able to get my full workouts in. So that's all I have. I'm gonna pass out the emails so you guys have it, if that's okay. If you do have any questions, be glad to answer them.
Yeah, so Don, just to make sure I'm clear, you're looking for the board to action, what exactly?
Well, I'm looking for one, whether it's the board or the staff to address to address the 2 weeks, and not only just for myself, but for any remaining members. I think that's very important. I mean, again, why you should pay for service. The other issue is, I mean, if I were to make a threat like that at my job, I would definitely be in HR and could be easily terminated for that. There should be no threats. Not coming from that should be addressed, whether it's with the individual or with HR going forward. Okay, and then the last thing is to address the cleanliness and maintenance of the fitness center. At this point going forward, it doesn't bother me. Not as a member, because I'm not no longer a member, but I'm still a taxpayer. I want to make sure we're getting our money's worth, and maintenance is extremely important. Having broken machines does not help your membership.
Okay, Bill and Dave, would you please address those 3 or 4 topics? You have explained to me personally what has happened, but I would like you to explain now to everyone. The first topic would be the 2 weeks.
So the 2 weeks, which we did discuss at length with the board, that we were given appreciation days, different stuff, but also for us to close was all the improvements we did from all the equipment, redoing the flooring, and we had to close to do that. There was just no way for us.
And we have done that every 2 years to do the flooring.
Close for 2 days to do big cleans and big stuff like that. This was a little bit longer, but that was because of the whole floor issue. We did do tons of communication to all of our members as to that was coming. My comment that I made to the board during that time was when we found out that the air conditioners were going to be late.
Correct.
And that was probably going to require, which it is, come March, an additional week, which would then be on top of our typical summer close down. And that at that time, we would probably want to do some compensation, which we are doing. We are crediting everybody an extra week for that. But we had communicated prior to that we were not doing that. The other issue that I think you have is when the membership expired. We typically allow someone that comes in, they forgot, whatever, give them a time or two, which is exactly what we did. The communications, I was not there, but the word wasn't to threaten. The word was to state that if you don't have a membership, you are technically trespassing. And we would have to do that with anybody. If somebody kept coming in and didn't have a membership, we would let them know we were trespassing. And then if they continue to trespass, which in fairness to everybody that's been paying all along, we would ask to have them removed. So it wasn't a threat, it was that we needed to have just members, and you were not a member during that period of time. I'm not sure what the third, the cleanliness.
Yeah.
I'll look at Kevin. Kevin, we did have some cleanliness issues a few years ago. Absolutely 100%. Kevin has done an amazing job of turning that around. Part of the reason we've moved Kevin into a bigger position because we had some same issues in the park. Kevin does an amazing job. He's got a new person hired. They are stationed at this building, just like we always have. Because of the amount of traffic that goes through here, we need to have that full-time staff person that's responsible for facilities to be inside this building. So that he's been with us now Christmas month.
Yeah.
So we've got that addressed again.
And I don't think it's accurate to say that staff is not doing a good job.
No.
Excuse me, you had your chance. We have worked diligently to try to in-house cleaning here. We took it outside, that didn't work. We have been very diligent about taking care of the cleanliness of this building. That was a top priority that the board set staff to do. So whether it took a month, 3 months, it wasn't that we weren't doing it. We are trying to find the best solution. Whether you got involved during that interim time, I don't know the timing, but to broadcast that this building is filthy is not true. And I take exception to that.
If I conveyed that it was, that the staff wasn't doing the job, no.
No, you conveyed that the building was filthy, implying that the staff wasn't doing their job. And I am telling you, both of those things are wrong.
Okay, if I can address that,
I think we're done.
the staff.
You have addressed it.
The staff is not the problem. The staff, like I mentioned, Mike,
Then what is the problem?
probably lack of staff.
We sit here every 2 weeks and talk about trying to get staff, trying to fill those positions, getting outside help. And we did that. We finally got to a point that we feel the building is clean. And just because it may have taken a while does not mean that our solution ultimately isn't good. The building was dirty. We all knew that. That's why we knew it was a problem. That's why we addressed it. And it took a while. we couldn't get people to clean the building. We couldn't hire people. They would not work for what we could afford to pay them. So there are a lot of things that are going on that you may or may not be aware of. All I'm saying is it is inaccurate for you to say that the Park District does not keep this building clean. It is inaccurate, and I would appreciate it if you wouldn't continue to do that. Your 5 minutes are up by now. Thank you. Any other visitors? I will announce that the next Downers Grove Park District Park Board meeting will be held March 2nd, 2023 at the Recreation Center Multipurpose Room. I believe we do not have executive session. Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Second.
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Bender.
Keep you honest.
Mr. Katsula.
Aye.
Mr. Dahlstrom.
Aye.
Ms. Mahoney.
Aye, motion passed. Good evening.